484. Ocala's information station, 1370 WOCA. Ocala.
All right, 5 minutes after 11 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in. So let me tell you a quick story. You know, Rob and I are going to Chattanooga today. We're so excited about this.
Yes.
And we found out that we were going to Chattanooga maybe 6 weeks ago or so. So we said, gosh, this is exciting. Can't wait. And all of a sudden, the timing belt started making funny noises. And I said, oh, man, my car. Gosh, we got to have the car working. Otherwise, we'll never get to Chattanooga. Okay. So we take it to the mechanic. Is it a lot of money? Yeah, it's a lot of money. Oh, man, talk about high anxiety. Okay, the car's fixed. Oh, okay, well, I guess I owe a bill. And then thank you. I'm driving around, and I go down to Orlando, and
a week later,
and I see some steam coming from under the hood. Oh, now what? Right? Then I go back. Oh, you know what happened when we put in that timing belt? We also had to change the water pump, and change. Anyway, so you need a new radiator. Oh, well, that doesn't sound expensive, is it? Yes, it is expensive. So, oh, no, some more money. And so, okay, well, so then it works beautifully. Now the timing belt, it was like, well, at least it happened before we went on the trip. I was trying to justify it and feel good about it, right? So then we have a gig down in Orlando. We're coming back from Orlando. I know you all know this story, but our guest doesn't, so I want her to hear this. And we hit a cow. Hit a cow. Now the car that I just paid a couple $1,000s to fix is totaled. And it's like, holy cow, not to use the pun there, but it's just like, oh man, is this the most anxiety trip I've ever had? Am I using the word in the right context right there? And so then we get a new car, not a new one, but a new old one, okay? And then the other day, what was happening? Oh, the yellow light came on that says check in. Well, that's no big deal, is it? Yes, it is, because it turns out it's the transmission.
Yeah.
And Matt Gibbs, who is so wonderful, he's our mechanic. He's just really empathizing with us, and so he has given us a loaner, and it's just so great. And no more anxiety. I just don't want any more. Dr. Shoshana Bennett, I may need your help. Dr. Bennett is on the phone. She's a clinical psychologist, one of the nation's foremost experts on postpartum depression, which I don't even understand that. When my son was born, I was the happiest guy in the world.
Yeah, me
but
too.
Of course, I didn't give birth to him.
Yeah, but I didn't.
You could say you did.
That trap.
Anyway, she is also on the phone to talk to us about, let's see, perinatal mood, anxiety disorders, and the facts and treatment options for postpartum depression. I'll learn how to read one day. Dr. Shoshana Bennett, good morning, doctor. I gave you a long intro because I have to get it off my chest. I'm sorry.
That's okay. You can call me after the show, too. I'll help you. Perinatal mood and anxiety disorders, that's a mouthful. We use the term perinatal because it affects prenatally, pregnancy, not only postpartum. So postpartum depression we hear a lot about now, but it's also important to know that anything that can happen postpartum can also happen during pregnancy. 15 to 20% of pregnant women are also clinically depressed.
Is that right? No, I don't understand this, but can you give me a Latin lesson real quickly? I understand post-mortem. The word mortem means dead, right? Somebody dies and you're sad.
Mm-hmm. Right. Postpartum means after the baby is born, after the baby is delivered.
Okay.
So postpartum depression is a disorder that is the most common complication of childbirth. And it hits, again, about 1 in 7. We're talking 15 to 20%. It's an incredible number of women who experience something more severe than the very normal baby blues.
Do you know what I think is nutty? I think it's nutty when a man says, we are pregnant. Because you're not.
Yeah, but I'll give him 1 week being pregnant. But it means he's supporting. The couple is pregnant. That's okay.
No, I don't think so. She is pregnant. Yeah. They're both going to be parents. But does he ever get this postpartum depression thing?
Yes, he does. Not due to the reproductive hormones shifting, obviously, but certainly sleep deprivation can cause depression for anybody.
But usually when the baby is born, it's in most families, it's just such a happy time. And you point out things that even women have thrown away their kitchen knives because they're afraid they're going to kill the child.
Ooh.
Well, they're afraid, but they're not going. You're talking about postpartum obsessive compulsive disorder, one of the anxiety disorders,
killing their babies.
With OCD, one is afraid of doing that often, but they don't. They're very much in this reality. It's a completely different disorder than postpartum psychosis, where the woman is really delusional. But the great news is that there's so much we can do to help prevent postpartum depression, not only treat it, and often without medication. I mean, if one needs medication, great, but having a wonderful diet in place. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I know what I feed my brain can make a big difference.
Oh, me too.
Yeah.
Really? I never knew this. Okay, so what you eat can make you happy.
Well, absolutely, and it can do the opposite as well. So, again, no guarantees. Just because, for instance, you're having fabulous omega-3s in your diet, and by the way, if anybody's worried about mercury, have Nordic Naturals. Have something that's completely contaminant-free. But there's no guarantee, obviously, but can it really make a difference in helping to avoid the problem, even if a mom is high risk? Yes, it can. So nutrition and something to oxygenate the brain, some exercise. Even if she's bedridden, she can still do some breathing exercises that can get some good endorphins going. There's light therapy, there's acupuncture, there's a lot of things you can do. But to prevent, really having a great wellness strategy in place before that baby comes home, right? That can be so helpful. In avoiding the problem and getting yourself really set.
So would that same strategy work on other types of depression?
Yeah. What? Good nutrition?
Yeah.
And exercise? Absolutely. And look, I mean, I'm a psychologist. I'm a big believer in therapy, in psychotherapy, and that can certainly make an enormous difference. And sometimes really having that wellness strategy in place with people you can count on for emotional support. Not critical, judgmental people, but the people you can just be real with, right? Who'll just give you hugs. And also physical support. Somebody to take care of the baby and house and whatever else, so that you can take care of yourself a few times.
Is some of it based on finances? Like, are they so stressed out because how are we going to afford the baby? Does that take over? Is that part of why they become depressed?
Well, it's mainly considered to be a biochemical.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but psychosocial factors is what you're talking about. Stresses, financial stresses, relationship stresses, a construction project going on next door or whatever. Certainly that can impact and feed into the depression. You bet. Even the myths of motherhood, like this is supposed to be the happiest time in my life, and if I'm not feeling elated every minute, there must be something deficient in me. Throwing that kind of stuff out. Or my needs don't matter anymore. It's all about the baby. Or breastfeeding should always be easy every second. Those are myths. Yeah, I mean, throwing those away can also really, really help relieve the depression.
So those women that feel that way, they really don't have very much self-esteem for themselves then, because they should be happy that they're not in the limelight anymore, that they have this wonderful new life that is now the center of attention, and they have to have their lives stay in the background, but they're really caring for something that's a blessing.
But it's important to know that postpartum depression isn't caused because we're not in the limelight. But I completely understand what you just said. And yes, sometimes it's like, oh, everybody treated me special and opened up doors when I was pregnant, but now it's all about the baby. That can certainly be, feed into it. But the depression is a disorder that has nothing to do with being, with not having enough attention. We often, I know how I felt. I was in 2 suicidal depressions.
Oh.
Never depressed before in my life, but after the births of my children, because I was never diagnosed, so there was no plan of action in place, so I went through it again.
Oh, my goodness.
Again, there was nothing I could have done. We know all these things. We know. We tell ourselves we should be so happy. We have this baby. What is wrong with me? That's how we feel, and that's where the shame and the guilt comes from. But again, this is a biochemical disorder hitting some of the best, most intelligent and well-grounded people. Anybody can get this disorder no matter what.
Wow.
So I know we're out of time, but is there a book that you can recommend that our listeners read, or do you have a website that gives us more information?
Absolutely. Anyone can go to drshosh.com, drshOSH.com. All my books are there, the Postpartum Depression for Dummies, the Pregnant on Prozac, all the books are there. And you can also hear about the film Dark Side of the Full Moon. This is a new documentary that really outlines what's going on with these women, and it's very moving. And one can go also to darksideofthefullmoon.com.
Well, I hope you're doing okay now.
Wow.
You sound wonderful. I mean, you sound vibrant and
Oh, my goodness. This was decades ago. I've been the happiest person on the planet for a long time.
No. I have been the happiest person.
You want to fight about it?
No,
Even after the
I love that. I love that.
There you go.
I love when people come back at me.
The
That's
challenge.
the best. Yeah. Doctor,
I'm glad you're happy.
thank you, Doctor, for being on the air with us today. Where are you, by the way? Where are you calling from?
Well, I'm based in Southern California, but I travel all over, and I work virtually with clients all over the world.
Oh, wow.
Nice.
Well, thank you for being on the air with us, and we'd love to have you back anytime you are available. We'd love to have you on.
Oh, thank you. That would be delightful.
Thank you, Doctor. That was a great
Bye-bye.
interview. We'll be right back. This is WOCA.
The weather is brought to you by myfwc.com. Safe boating is no accident. Watch for strong rip currents over the next several days.